Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann. And with me today is...
Neil. Other Neil.
Aha. Okay, yeah. So the reason that Neil is here today is to talk about a vasectomy that he had. And it's something that I myself have looked into, and something that years ago I found out that my father had.
Really?
Here's the story of that. We were sitting at the dinner table, and I want to just say we were eating macaroni and cheese or some sort of condensed Campbell's soup. He fucking tells the story, basically, of that he got one. It wasn't the details of everything that happened, but he mentions it. And then I thought it was funny. I'm like, oh, yeah, they took care of that, did they? Snippy, snippy. For years, I would break that out at random intervals. And he would get kind of pissy about it.
I was going to say, at family events, I'm sure?
Well, no, not like in front of people.
Oh, that would have been better.
Mainly in front of us, so that, you know, he had to kind of temper his reaction while still being able to fully flip the fuck out. It was just one of those easy digs I would take at the old man.
Oh, sure. You somehow think somebody's less of a man, right?
Yeah, in hindsight, I probably should have gotten one some years ago, judging by the number of other people that live in my house that have my same DNA.
I honestly thought you were going for, an even dozen or so.
Yeah, people keep making that 12 joke, and I keep telling them, stop fucking jinxing me. They're going to have to steal my sperm at this point.
There are just some people that are just too fertile, There's all ends of the spectrum, and you might be one of those people.
Well, I bumped into a case manager of one of my clients today, and she's like, oh, yeah, so what, you have 4 kids, right? I'm like, 5 now. We had another one. Here's her reaction. Fuck.
I believe that was mine when you had texted me.
Yeah. So I almost wanted to be like, fuck is right. If I was smart, I would have got the old Snip job when they did my hernia, because then I could have been like doubly done.
Yeah, you could have had your crotch laid up for weeks anyway. Might as well.
Was not thinking that through. Because now you're probably just firing off blanks with reckless abandon, like, I don't have to worry about shit.
It is kind of liberating, yeah. You don't have to think that in the back of your mind. There's that worry, like, oh crap, did I a little bit? Because that was always our method, which was, of course, the tried and true method that never really worked that great, was the withdrawal, the pull-out method. I wasn't a big fan of condoms or other things like that.
Yeah, condoms are stupid.
Yeah, they're a waste of time.
I don't go to the movies and wear a fucking paper bag over my face as I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Right?
I watch the movie.
You want to see the Avengers in full color.
But here's the thing. People will mock me for, making babies on birth control. And I'm like, you know what, though? Maybe I just go back to the pull and pray, because I'm batting 1,000 with that.
Yeah, there you go, right?
I didn't accidentally, slip one past the goalie all those times that I gacked on thighs, tummies, and tits. So now, you make the decision to get the vasectomy. You go to the clinic. You get the consultation.
Actually, the avenue I took was a little bit different. So, the gentleman that I found, or the clinic I found, was down in, I guess, Edina area over by Southdale Mall. There's a hospital down there, and everything was online. So all the information was online. You could book the appointment online. Obviously, they would give you a call and just verify, a few things, but they would send you this information to basically kind of, are you sure you want a vasectomy? Are you a candidate? Type thing, and basically answer these questions in your life.
Question 1, do you have a penis?
Right. Right.
Sorry, you've got a vagina, ma'am. You can't do this.
Surprisingly, that was not one of the questions. It would seem to eliminate half the number of people applying, right? But no, a lot of the questions were, do you already have kids? How old are you? Is your partner okay with this? Stuff like that. Basically, a lot of things to just make sure that you are certain about your decision, and pretty much it was easy for me. All the boxes I checked off, later in life, kids anymore, I already have a kid. Yes, my partner does not want to have any children herself. All these things, it was kind of real easy. So kind of went through that screening process.
I don't like living on a 28-day calendar of praying for good news.
That was part of it, yeah. So there wasn't, the actual first time I ever went to the clinic was when I went to have the procedure done.
Jesus Christ, that's a leap of faith.
It was. And, in hindsight, maybe I should have done a little bit more research. Maybe I should have asked the right questions. They kind of give you a synopsis of the process. And what this guy does, he claimed it was going to be an easy, quick vasectomy, meaning you just come in, he does the work, and you're out within maybe even half an hour. I'm
not sure that the word quick makes me feel more comfortable.
Well, it is an uncomfortable process. So I guess the amount that you can limit it, the amount of time you're doing it, probably the better.
Well, I'm not saying like he takes a smoke break every 10 minutes because his hands shake if he doesn't.
Right, but the process is in such a way that they make 2 tiny little incisions. So he's not fully cutting open your sac. You're not being, it's not a major surgery. In fact, I think they call it almost minimally invasive. And I can tell you the process if you want. It might make you a little squeamish, and it definitely was not good.
Do you know how many fucking cartel beheading videos I've watched on bestgore.com? That's bestgore.com. I've been plugging them a lot lately. I hope that it pays off.
I was going to say, do they owe you money? Do they owe you royalties?
No, anything? I just love the fact that they show the videos that the rest of the news is afraid to show the world to know what's really going on. And I have seen a lot of murders on the internet. Holy shit.
I've seen some pretty graphic stuff, and this was years ago. I've seen stuff where, guys in a motorcycle accident with their leg laying off to the side while people are just standing around taking pictures of them as they slowly bleed out.
Yeah, that's India for you.
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was like Southeast Asia or something like that. Yeah, some pretty nasty stuff out there. A lot of accident videos, I guess, is what I've seen, but I didn't know about Best Gore. Maybe I'll have to go in incognito mode and see that. So
you don't have to go incognito
I don't want that shit showing up in my regular browser history. Come on, man.
Clear that shit.
That's too much work. If I can just go incognito mode.
I guess.
Yeah.
There was a video of a toddler in India.
Oh, no.
She somehow fell off a train platform and was crawling, and then she got bisected.
Oh, goddamn.
She missed the first set of train wheels, and then it rolled right over her.
Oh.
Yeah.
One I saw was this kid, they had the the overhead power lines for the trains, wherever they were at, kind of like we have the light rail downtown. And idiot was riding on top of the car, right?
I like where this is going.
As they pulled up to the station, right? And somebody must have been taking a video because a family member was getting off or they were meeting somebody there. The kid gets up and not even thinking, just rests his hand up on the wire. All it is just this brightest flash as you can imagine. Kid basically falls over face first and is just hanging one arm over the top of the car, and his head just starts on fire. He just starts burning. Basically, he was instantly dead. For his sake, he was toast the instant he touched that thing. That's why I tell my son, some of that stuff you cannot unsee. So make sure you're prepared to see it.
I like that video of that guy sticking the glass jar up his asshole and then it breaks.
Oh, God.
And then he's just pulling like shards of glass out of his bloody asshole.
Yeah, is it just kind of raining out because he cut himself so bad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That had to be a very panicked moment. Not unlike when a doctor makes a very minimally invasive small incision on each side of your sac.
Yes. So it was interesting because you go in there and they have a special jock strap that you're going to wear. It's basically like an athletic supporter. So they have you get into that and you sit on the table, and this guy was fast. Like I said, I wish I would have done a little bit more research or asked the right questions, because he comes in, he's talkative, but he's not speaking very good English, but in a way he's kind of he's joking around like he's done this a bunch of times. So that's what you're kind of being relaxed about. You're like, okay. He then kind of checks you out, basically pulls your shit down just to see what he's working with, I guess. And he comes out with this little paper thing. It's like not like a Sani ring for a toilet, but kind of similar. Basically, he puts it on you and your balls just kind of flop through onto this paper, right?
What about your dick?
No, you keep that kind of folded up against your body.
So basically...
laying against your body, because you're laying down.
He put your sack in a neck cone like a dog that just got neutered.
Oh, yeah. He's isolating it for work purposes.
Now I'm going to snip your vas deferens. You ready? Here I go. No, I already done. I lie. You know feel.
Speaking of the feeling part, so he puts this, like the iodine on there, basically the stuff to disinfect, the alcohol and everything else like that. And he puts a topical anesthetic on. Just some other stuff to help kind of numb you up. And I can't remember. I think he put in some small injections, but it's this kind of clicking injection type of thing, almost like an EpiPen, where he'll put it against your skin and it just kind of pricks you real quick and injects you with some numbing medicine.
Did your balls get stung by a bee or what?
Kind of, in a way. He's talking to you for the 2-3 minutes it takes to kind of let that sink in. And then he comes and he does the same type of thing, and he makes a couple incisions one on each side of the line of your ball sack. You know, that line that runs kind of from tip to asshole, I guess, in a way.
Your taint?
Yes, tip to taint. I don't know why I didn't say that. That used to be words that flowed off the tongue easily in my youth. But anyway, makes a couple snips, and here's where the uncomfortable part comes in. Because what he does is he has this little hook tool, and you kind of get the he goes in through the incision and he pulls up your sperm tube, right, to where he can kind of see it, and then he snips the one end, cauterizes it with this burny little thing. You actually see a little bit of smoke and you can smell almost like burning hair.
That's comforting.
Yeah, and the other end gets snipped with a little titanium clamp, I guess. And I can feel it in there now. I couldn't for a while because of the swelling and things like that, but I can feel it in there now. If I actually search a little bit, I can feel feels like a little nodule in there.
I wish that I had the metal detecting wand for my old job right now. I would say we need to find out if your sack gives off. Do you go to the airport and you beep, 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 beep?
Right.
Oh, I had my shit snipped.
Right. And if they really hone in, am I going to have to go and get searched every time? Because obviously the wand's going to go nuts at my crotch or my rectal area, right?
Get ready for an ass fingering because they're looking for drugs.
Well, what's amazing is I've flown since I've had the 1.5 foot long rod put in my leg. I've flown since I've had that T-plate put in my wrist after that got shattered. Mm-hmm. Never once have I set off any type of sensors or alarms. Mm-hmm. I can only imagine what it would be like if I go there now and it's my balls that fucking finally set it off.
Like, all the fucking rod in my leg, not the plate in my wrist, the fucking clamp in my sack. That's what's setting her off.
Are you fucking serious?
That's why I'm on the no-fly list? Because I said my dick's the bomb. And they're like, whoa.
We got to see this.
Sit, spread, lift, cough, kiss you on the forehead.
So he goes in there, and that was the most uncomfortable part, is when he goes in there and he hooks it and he pulls it up, because no amount of the topical anesthetic and the local anesthetic really gets you for where that deep pull comes from inside your body, right?
Oh,
like you're feeling it way in there and you're just like, oh, it was kind of sickening to the stomach. But he did it fast enough on both sides that all of a sudden it's like, okay, you're done. You're on your way. Here's your little goodie bag of information on how to take care of it.
Please tell me he slipped you a plastic tray with 2 dinner mints and a fortune cookie. That shit would be hilariously stereotypical.
No, they don't all do that. But it was funny, the little goodie bag. He's like, you can keep that jock strap. You can keep it. It's yours. I'm like, well, I should hope so. I'm not taking it off now because my shit's all, starting to swell. And you're walking out of there and you're like,
how fucking fast did it swell?
Well, it took a few hours, but you could just tell. I mean, you just were cut into, right? I mean, you're already kind of feeling like the pain. It's like if you got cut right away, or if you jammed a fingernail or something like that, you're going to feel the pain right away, right?
Didn't he stitch you any? Dissolvable even?
It was like the dissolvable stitches, like the super glue type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was about it. Yeah, like 1 stitch each or something like that.
So what you're telling me is that with a bite stick and a little bit of topical pain relieving cream, I could do this in my house.
Yeah, I guess. Just eat a few aspirin or something beforehand. I don't know.
I've cut a mole off with a fucking nail clipper. This can't be much different.
Yeah. Have you ever... Okay, this is an odd question because I've gotten them a couple times. Have you ever had a small cyst on your ball sack? Have you ever seen those? It's not that uncommon of a thing, but it does happen. You'll get this tiny little... Gosh, I wouldn't even say like the plastic head of a pin, like some old pins and stuff like that. It's about that size, but it's just under your skin. It looks like a whitehead pimple, but with like a little extra layer of skin over it. And I went and snipped those out, and that hurts like hell. Using like a cuticle scissors or something to kind of cut a piece of your body off like that. So I couldn't imagine trying to go deeper into that ball sack to try to get those tubes. But prove me wrong.
Well, there was this video that I saw, I believe on bestgore.com. That's bestgore.com. Where a man cut his own sack open. He was neutering himself.
Must have really hated his balls, or was he a pedophile?
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. He wanted to be a eunuch, so he fucking slices his sack open. Then there's another membrane.
Yeah.
So it's not just sack and balls, it's sack, membrane, balls.
Right.
And he gets the membrane, he's like, there's my bone. He gets it out, and then he cuts it off, and he's just dripping blood on this tile floor. And I can't believe he's just going to do that himself.
That need to feed that area. Yeah.
Dear God. And he fucking does it. And I watched it. It was interesting.
How do you not see that imagery when you try to go to bed some nights? Or how does that not keep you up? Because the shit I've seen is pretty disturbing. I mean, I mentioned a couple things, but there's a long list of stuff that's disturbing on the internet.
I'm numb to it now.
Yeah.
I could probably
like the
see
Asian
somebody
chick
get...
in the bathtub, like shooting
tub
diarrhea
girl.
shit
Tub girl, yes.
into her mouth. Yeah,
I could
like
watch any of that shit right now. Wouldn't faze me.
Yeah,
I could probably see it in real life, and it wouldn't really faze me.
See, there are those people. They're the people that should be in the medical profession. Those are the ones that become numb to horrific scenes like that because it's all just, work.
But then again, when I was researching my hernia repair surgery, because I went down to Florida to have a different kind of it, I watched videos of the procedure. I got about 30 seconds and I had to look away. Fucking couldn't watch that. I'm like, that's what they're going to do to me.
Exactly. And I actually watched videos of how they put like the rod in a leg, that surgery that I had.
Yeah.
I watched videos on that and how they were going to take it out. And the videos I saw on how they were going to take it out, I didn't want them to do that. That's why I still have the rod in my leg, because I'm like, I don't care if I'm going to be out or they just give me the drugs where I don't remember what happened type of thing. Either way, I don't want to go through that trauma again. They basically take a slap hammer, right? What is that?
The fuck is a slap hammer?
It is a strap. So they basically would open my knee up, split it open, pull my kneecap off to the side. They would go in and they would attach a strap to the rod that's in my leg, right? And the strap is probably about 1.5 feet long. And then they use a hammer to hit the inside of the strap. And they slap, basically, you know what I mean? And
didn't they fucking screw it into your bone?
They did. They would take the screws out, obviously.
No, why wouldn't it just fucking come loose?
Because your bone grows around it.
It's for Christ's fucking sakes.
Right?
Fuck that shit.
Right. And just think about all that space, all that marrow that's inside there and everything. That would come out too. And it's like, I don't want to lose all that. Like, I feel like that's important. So we're just going to leave it in there.
My biggest takeaway from that explanation is, how do they not sever your patellar tendon?
Oh.
Moving your kneecap.
There was a lot of swelling after the surgery in many areas, and I think that was part of what it was too. Is the knee was huge because I think they did a bit of trauma in there. But you're going to be laid up for the next 3.5 months, so even if they tear your tendons a little bit, it's not like you're going to be using it, and it's going to heal on its own.
Interesting.
Tendon or a ligament or something like that. Because there's a lot of them in the knee that cover that kneecap, so they pulled a lot of shit to the side to shove that rod down in there. Yeah,
I got to say, Mike, I went in for a consultation. For this, like 2-3 years ago.
For the VAS?
Yeah. And it was this Middle Eastern doctor, just telling you for the sake of clarity here. And he's talking about, he's like, he's very simple, I do this all the time. In my head, he sounds just like the Beast's dead dad. All Middle Eastern men end up sounding like that in my head somehow.
Sure.
So basically, I'm reading the pamphlet, I'm like, he's going to slice me open, then he's going to take a fucking soldering iron to my sack, then he's going to put a clamp on my fucking ball tube there. And then I'm just going to go home and hope that I'm not Antonio Rogers Cromartie conceiving 3 children after having had a vasectomy. Because that'd be my fucking luck.
Right.
Because I'm the guy that fucking knocks my wife up with twins after getting my shit snipped. And I'm not saying like I go fuck her 5 days later. I'm saying like a year later, like what the fuck?
Well, Antonio Rogers Cromartie... So, in my experience, they basically said, hey, for the next 3 months, take it easy. You could still be fertile, but in this amount of time, send us a sample. We'll test it and make sure that your sperm count is non-existent, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing Rogers Cromartie had the surgery done and went just gang wild in a week's time, thinking, I'm all clear, but the surgery didn't really take, or for whatever reason.
No, I think he waited some.
Did he? Okay.
But that'd be me. I'm like trying to name off all my kids, and there's like a gap, and there's like BV and AV, just like BC and AD.
Right.
Before vasectomy, after vasectomy. Wow, what the fuck are you talking about after vasectomy?
Right.
I got snipped, it didn't take. Fucking Middle Eastern doctor, I don't know. He was sitting there cutting my ball sack open, and he used a hooky thing to pull it out and fuck with my tubes. And then he was using a soldering iron. The whole time he's fucking muttering Allahu Akbar under his breath real quietly. He thought I couldn't hear him, but I could fucking smell the falafel on his breath. I knew what he was doing.
What is wrong with you?
Just because he likes falafel doesn't mean he's not a good vasectomy doctor.
Yeah, I know, but what I turned that into was anti-American hate crime in that hypothetical.
Getting back at the Westerners, I get it, yeah.
I hope you heal well. Also, death to infidels. Wait, what? What is this death to infidels shit that he's talking about?
Why did they go hand in hand?
Is this because I started humming A Whole New World while you were down there? Aladdin.
I was just going to say, which one of the remakes was that from? I saw...
that was the original.
Yeah. That wasn't in the remake? I don't know.
I'm sure it was. They remade all the songs and only had like 1 or 2 new ones, but you're not going to redo it better than motherfucking Peebo Bryson did with the original.
So there is a little bit more to the story. So when I keep saying that I wish I would have asked the right questions, it's not one of those things where you even really know the right questions. My sister's husband had it done as well. He was kind of in the same boat as me. He has a 13 or 14-year-old daughter, and my sister has no interest in having kids herself.
That's a sister I met, right?
Yes. Yep. And he was the guy who was the officiant at our wedding, right? So I'd asked him, I'm like, where did you go? How was it for you? And he kind of explained a similar process for him, but he had gone to some place in St. Paul, right? So one of the questions I wish I would have asked is, what are the long-term, is there any long-term pain? Because within that first week, there was some soreness, there was some swelling, there was a do not look at it, do not touch it type of thing, honey. I'll be ready in a bit. And there was no pain when we first started having sex again. There was no pain for the first 3 months. I think I got a clean bill, so to say, in like middle of July or end of June when I had sent it my sample, right? Because I'd had this done back in like April or something like that. And I think it's a 2-month period that they check you again.
Interesting.
So everything was fine. Within the last like 3 weeks, no joke, I am starting to get like phantom ball pain, so to say. I don't know how else to explain it. So when I was a kid, I would have issues with testicular torsion. It's basically when your ball gets twisted in your sac.
Oh, you don't have to tell me. I've seen that episode of Venture Brothers. That's
right.
where I learned about it.
See? And it was never anything where I had to have surgery. I only went to the doctor once, and that's when I learned what the problem was. And really, it's just your ball sac retracting and kind of twisting the ball as it does it. So I found the way to, solve my problem was to just kind of warm up my ball sack in my hands and, kind of manually twist my ball back around. No problems. I'm wondering if something happens, or if maybe because of that condition I have, or the fact that it's prone to do that, if something has gotten maybe turned around and it's causing some pain or some swelling or something like that. Because I had never had any problems up until just recently. And now it's time, basically whenever I get an erection, it kind of tugs. It feels like it pulls something in there and it causes a little discomfort, to the point where it makes you really concentrate even more sometimes to come during sex. And sometimes it's almost impossible. Like, I'm not going to be able to concentrate that hard because there's just enough pain in the ball sack to be distracting. I'm not a masochist or sadist or whichever one enjoys pain to their ball sack.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not one of those guys. So for me, it's more distracting than pleasurable.
Don't just suck on it. Punch it.
Right.
God damn it. I want to feel the blowjob.
Yeah.
Here's my armchair assessment of that, and I am not a physician, nor do I play one on TV. You have a problem with the clamp and scar tissue.
That was going to be my next thought. And I figured if this was going to continue on, I was definitely going to reach out to him or just do a better web search and just ask the right questions, right? Because I'm not the first guy to have this done. I'm sure somebody else has run into the same type of problem.
And everybody knows that asking Dr. Google is the best way to get an answer as opposed to speaking to a real doctor.
Well, it's cheaper and quicker, right?
It is. It is, because nobody wants to call the clinic you went to and they're like, he doesn't work here anymore because he got fucking deported.
Right.
Because he
performed too many rogue vasectomies. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say he was running a dog fighting ring out of the basement of his house.
Oh, we're going Michael Vick on it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I like that you did it, and then you're like, well, looking back, I probably should have done it differently.
As long as it doesn't last forever, if there's a way to possibly alleviate some of the pain. Like even sitting here now, the right one kind of is twinging a little bit. So
I'd get that looked at.
Yeah.
There's
no swelling, though. There's nothing major. It's just slight jabby pain every once in a while, right?
There's no discoloration. There's no swelling. Well, I don't think anything's wrong. I keep having these stabbing pains in my fucking tea bag, but
right.
I figure over time.
I piss blood. It's one of those things, though, where, life is pain. As you get older, you have aches and pains and you have things that you just kind of deal with. And it's like, well, is this something I could just put up with over time? And I don't think it is.
You just equated a bad hip to coming fire, basically.
Well, no, there's no problem with the coming. It's just when the balls are slapping and during sex. You know what I mean? That's what I think it is. Because there's motion. There's things moving around.
Less lower back, more hip. Hubba hubba. Interact with the show on Twitter at what do we call it? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast shoe. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann.
This is Other Neil.
And that's the end.